nation, though, refused to go along. It stood alone. It was Sweden. Sweden never closed restaurants, never closed primary schools. It encouraged people to look out for their own health and the health of their neighbors. According to the country's leaders, that strategy worked. Karin Ulrika Olofsdotter is the Swedish ambassador to the United States, and we're happy to have her on tonight. Ambassador, thanks so much for joining us. So there's been, and I know you've been following this as closely as anyone, a lot of debate in the American media over how well your response has actually worked. Can you bottom line it for us? How has it worked?
Well, both good and bad, I should say. First of all, I would really like to express my deep condolences to anyone out there who has lost a loved one. The virus is, of course, spreading across the United States just as everywhere else. Well, our strategy is based on, our way of life, how we function in Sweden. So the aim is, of course, to save as many lives as possible and keep the healthcare system running, because, of course, if we all know the flat curve and the spiked curve and so on, so it's a strategy to keep the curve as low as possible and getting our healthcare system to function. So, and we also realize that this is a marathon. We will be at this for a long time, so we have to build a strategy that we can keep for a long time. It's built on recommendations. My country is a bit different there. People have big trust in the government offices and the public agencies, and the government and the politicians trust the population. So that's the fundament of how we can build this strategy.
Yes.
So we advocate social distancing. People older than 70 should stay at home, which they mostly adhere to. We have regulated so that it's now forbidden to visit people in the elderly care homes, and that's where we unfortunately have seen the biggest loss of lives among elderly people. So 90% of the 3,000 people who have died in Sweden have been older than 70 years old. And that's, of course, a big failure that we have, and something we are working on. We have also instituted sick days from the first day you're sick, said that, if you have the slightest problem or sickness, stay at home. Yes, our restaurants are open, but of course it's seen an economic downturn. Like, a lot of them are doing extremely badly. So but they are open. Travel has gone down over Easter, for instance, 90% less travel in the country than before. So people are basically following these recommendations. So yes, it is a more open approach, but with the same aim as everyone else.
Let me ask you, Ambassador, one of the aims I think that all epidemiologists agree is the goal is to get enough people who are immune in a society to the virus who've been infected and recovered that it no longer spreads as quickly, group immunity. How close to that is Sweden right now? Well,
we right now know that Stockholm has about 25% of herd immunity. We are now doing a study, which will be ready in 1 or 2 weeks, where we look at where we are in the whole country. But 3 weeks ago in Stockholm, herd immunity was about 10%. So we see an increase. And this is, of course, something, it's not a strategy to get herd immunity. It's something, of course, you want to get as long as we don't have a virus. Or,
yes.
And
I think
vaccine. Virus we do have.
Interesting. Well, thank you for joining us, Ambassador, and congratulations on seeing some progress. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we're trying to take this in a big picture sense. And if you do that, you notice the World Trade Organization, WTO, played a key role in creating this country's dependence on China. It really did. The numbers are amazing. Is it time to get rid of the WTO? One U.S. senator says we should, and he's here to explain after the break.